Hey guys, welcome to the Learn Feng Shui podcast, where you'll learn Feng Shui from a classical point of view, taking out the myth and superstition. So if you're interested in learning Feng Shui, Chinese astrology, all things Chinese metaphysics, as well as the superstitions and myths that connect it all, you'll enjoy learning Feng Shui with me. Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of the Learn Feng Shui podcast, where ancient traditions meet modern living. I'm Candice Berlanga, certified Feng Shui practitioner and a Red Ribbon professional with the International Feng Shui Guild. In today's episode, we're going to unlock one of the more interesting aspects of Feng Shui, the tilted door. So, what is a tilted door? Why are they used? How do they work? Well, today we're going to look at that technique itself and explore why it's done and how it's applied. Plus, we're going to look at some of the famous buildings that use this method and talk about the prominent use in places like San Francisco. Before we get into that, I wanted to let you know I'll be speaking at the International Feng Shui Guild's annual summit on May 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The most important thing is this summit is totally free for you to attend live. I think there's a nominal charge if you'd like to purchase the recordings and go through all of it. But yes, totally free to attend. So please join me. My talk is entitled Feng Shui, Geomancy, and the Global Traditions That Unite Us. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of the stuff I talk about in the podcast, but focusing on the commonalities of Feng Shui in Eastern and Western traditions. Did you know Feng Shui also was a thing of the West? It just wasn't called Feng Shui. I'd love for you to join me. There will be a link in the details in the show notes. All right, let's get into it. Today, this topic was inspired by my Feng Shui master, Master Jensen Go. He often shares his case studies with his students and even invites them to come along. So next time I am in Singapore, I'm definitely going to go on a Feng Shui audit with him. He shared with this class a while back that a unit he's working on for an apartment that he's auditing has a tilted door. And it got me thinking, I really wanted to cover this topic of the tilted door. It's something I came across when I was doing the Joey Yap Feng Shui studies. He did cover the concept of door tilting, and I always thought it was pretty interesting. And so when I went to San Francisco in 2019, one thing I noticed, especially in the area where it's prominently Chinese residents or Asian residents, a lot of the doors are tilted. And I thought, those are definitely a feng shui technique. And so looking at door tilting today, what is it? How's it done? All the things we're wondering. There is a few different ways that it's done, or a few different systems that are used to tilt the door to a good direction. One of the most prominent is called the castle gate theory, which is an advanced feng shui method. It is also used in other feng shui schools, eight mansions, sometimes flying stars. It'll be used, and it's used to determine the most auspicious direction for a building's main door. And it's often used in classical lineages and high level practices of feng shui. It actually works by aligning the door to a specific direction from the Shui Kong Dogwa system, which aligns it to one of 64 directions on the compass. So it's a very small margin of error, which I'll get into in just a minute when we talk about the downside of using this technique. So the idea is to find the door orientation that creates harmony between heaven, earth, and the building itself, and even tap sometimes into water sources in the area. Sometimes it means the front door is physically tilted to match the precise degree and not for looks, but it's supposed to receive the best flow of chi. It's all about tuning the building like an instrument to the surrounding energy. And the technique is most often practiced in buildings, banks, or hotels, but it can be applied to a residence also. Basically, door tilting is considered a way to redirect harmful energy or ensure positive energy is in your home. Let's go next to when door tilting is used. Most commonly, I think, at least what I've come across and seen other masters do, I have not ever myself applied this to a home. I'm just going to say that right now and put that out there. But I've heard other practitioners talk about it in case studies. And the most prominent one is when it is facing what is called an emptiness line. So when a house or building faces what's called an emptiness line, the energy can be stagnant, weak, and affect the positive chi in the home. So tilting a door can help redirect the flow of chi and adjust the energy to be more supportive. It can also leave you feeling, just like it says, empty in life. If your home faces exactly 0 degrees north, 180 degrees south, 90 degrees east, or 270 degrees west, these are what are called void lines. Emptiness line is basically associated with a lack of energy flow. It's the direct degree, like due east, due south, due north, due west. So it would be exactly north, south, east, or west. And these compass points are thought to represent a lack of nurturing or beneficial chi. They're just areas where these cosmic forces are more in balance with empty or void, thus the term emptiness line. They're not locations where chi is able to flow freely into a building or home, and they may represent the lack of auspicious energy. So when a main door faces these lines directly, it means that the chi entering the building is unbalanced or blocked, and it can lead to issues like stagnation, lack in your finances, and even health difficulties. It can affect the way you feel, and you would maybe feel empty, feel sad, or feel like you're not thriving. That would be a way to correct that. Honestly, some plants works. And you don't have to mess your door frame up, which we're going to talk about the downside of that here in just a second, a downside of tilting the door, because it can affect you in a negative way. Or another time it can be done is when the energy of a house is between two gua directions. So what is a gua direction? It's actually the facing direction of your house. For example, your house might be facing between west and southwest. So it'll be on the exact degree between the two guas. And when we're tilting a door, it can help smooth out the conflicting energies between the two guas, especially because there's an elemental clash or a interaction. If your home faces west, it would be the energy of metal, but if it faces southwest, then it's the energy of earth. And so when this facing direction of a house falls between these two guas, the energetic influence from each gua may conflict. These influences of two different energies can create the feeling of unstable energy, or maybe you feel like you lack support, and it may even result in difficulty in decision making, lack of direction. Maybe you don't feel very motivated, the people living in the space. It can also affect the personal characteristics and life circumstances in your space. So the conflict may lead to personality clashes, difficulties in relationship, or even challenges in business and career growth. So again, the remedy would be door tilting. I would probably be more in line with this. Again, when you go between the two guas, it's kind of like, what energy is your house receiving, right? Is it receiving the energy of metal or the energy of earth or the energy of fire and wood? These are conflicting energies. And so it really needs to face a specific facing direction rather than be between the two. Another time it can be used is near a water source. So if you have a water source like a lake or a pond or something in your neighborhood, the tilting technique is sometimes used to activate this flow of water energy. And this kind of depends on where your door is at, where it is in relation to your home and stuff like that. Again, it's an advanced technique. And so it's a very specific calculation of how to tilt the door. It's supposed to be very lucky to be able to do that to your space. But again, it's a very specific technique and you have to be careful when you do it. Another time it can be used is when a door is not properly aligned with the main flow. It can be repositioned and tilted to help reorient the flow of energy into your space, especially if the door's in a wrong orientation based on like feng shui analysis for the building's layout. I know sometimes office buildings or buildings with multiple residents, you want to get a good facing direction. And what if the building faces another direction, But again, if you're in an apartment, it's a little bit difficult to get them to sign off on tilting a door, I don't think. So that might not work if you're in an apartment. Another time it can be done is if the door faces a Shaw cheese, like a sharp corners, neighboring buildings, unpleasant features in your surrounding environment, T junction, busy road. You can tilt the door to help redirect the energy. But again, I think just placing some plants and landscaping, a lot of times the form will help with that. So you can block that out. Plants are amazing feng shui cures. And a lot of times you can just put some plants around your door and help that energy flow. And sometimes it'll even change the energy of your home, invite in positive chi. Sometimes it can be used based on the best directions. This really isn't a great way to do this because again, when you're tapping into specific energies, you really need to do those advanced calculations. So sometimes feng shui practitioners use door tilting as a way to optimize a person's personal energy. It's believed to improve the alignment between the energy that comes into the home and the personal energy of the homeowner, especially when it's important to specific life areas. But again, if you ever move, or it could impact the other residents of your home. So I would warn against that and aligning with flying stars. Sometimes it's used with a flying star system, and tilting the doors may be used to adjust the alignment of the stars to harmonize with the building's energy during certain times. Looking at the pros and cons of tilting a door, starting first with the pros. This can help redirect harmful chi away. It can optimize the flow of energy into your space. So, when a door's aligned correctly or faces a stagnant energy zone, tilting it can help direct positive energy into your home or business. And of course, this flow can invigorate the space and create a more harmonious environment and make you feel more welcome and alive. It can make you feel better. It can enhance your wealth and prosperity. So a tilted door can enhance wealth and prosperity by adjusting it to a specific energy that enters a building. And in most feng shui practices, the main door represents that gateway for wealth and opportunity. If the door faces an unfavorable direction or is blocked by external factors, tilting it can help ensure that flow comes into your space, helping your finances and your prosperity. It can also help support financial success and growth. It can help counteract a negative sha qi. So, if a door is exposed to a negative influence, like a sharp corner, a busy road, or a bad view, even tilting a door can help deflect this harmful sha qi or negative energy, and it redirects it from the buildings. It can help reduce stress and tensions within the home. If it's used for flying star feng shui, the energy of space can change over time based on these annual and monthly stars. So, a tilted door can be used to adjust the energy flow in response to this cycle. So, it really taps into the energy during the times when certain stars bring positive influences, and it can help redirect energy when a negative flying stars are present. It can help support your personal growth and relationships. Tilting the door can adjust the energy flow so it better supports the people living in the space. And you can use it to align with landscaping or natural features. Now, the cons of doing this, again, it can have some pretty big consequences if it's not applied correctly. So, if it's misapplied, it can distort the chi, especially if it's done without a proper compass reading. It can create an unsettled or disjointed feeling of a space, mostly because it's aesthetic. I'll look at this in just a second when I read through some articles I found about door tilting. A tilted door can look off aesthetically or out of place, even if the tilt is done for feng shui purposes. It might clash the building's overall design principles. And again, when we look at feng shui, we are looking at aesthetics also. We tend to forget that feng shui is a study of the appearance of your space. And if it looks off, then it could be distorting the energy. When the door tilts and faces a different angle, it can cause the energy entering through a space to conflict with the energies of the building's original direction, creating this turbulent flow of energy in the space. It can also create an internal sha qi. So when we're looking from a form's perspective, we look at things that are out of place. We look at sharp corners, we look at the T junctions and stuff like that. And if a door is extremely tilted, then it creates an angle and that can create a sha qi in a space. In flying star systems, the static stars may become inauspicious. So, in flying star system, if a door's tilt is not calculated with systems in mind, it can unintentionally disturb the current flying star configuration. Remember, flying stars change over time and they're dynamic. Each year we get one, every month we get different ones, every day we get different ones. It could initially be really auspicious, but later on we could shift to an inauspicious result. So flying stars evolve and they become timely and untimely, and that's just based on time cycles. And so a door that was once beneficial may become harmful, creating ongoing challenges. It can create unpredictable long term results also. Door tilting doesn't take future energies into account sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you can tap into long term. It is essential that if you make any door adjustments, they won't cause negative outcomes in the energy of the space later as energies can shift. I think the last point is really just making it a quick fix for feng shui. A lot of people want fast fix. Tilting the door might be seen as a quick way to redirect this energy, but it can become kind of this narrow approach if you rely too much on it. And so feng shui principles do emphasize a holistic way and a holistic approach to your environment. So it addresses everything from furniture placement to the way your home faces and how you use your space. So it's not just about this door tilting. Focusing too much on a door tilt may cause you to overlook other areas that might need attention, because if you still have clutter, if your home has low lighting, if there's no airflow in your space and it's stagnant, that can also play a significant role in the energy of your space because you could initially be getting a good energy into your space and wonder why your space didn't change, but you still are maybe not optimizing the space, or maybe it's still cluttered or has stagnant energy. Just based on the way you use it. Overly focusing on this as a fix can be a problem, or overly relying on it. Now, let's look at some famous examples and maybe some anecdotes of feng shui masters that have used this tilt. Did they rely on it? Is it something they do all the time? Or is it something that needs to be done sparingly on a case by case basis? Let's take a look at that. From fengshuimechanics.com, of Feng Shui consultant Malaysia, the tilted door. Of course, that will be linked in the show notes. It says here, for a long time, most feng shui celebrity masters say that a tilted door is akin to a crooked mouth. It's ugly and creates sharp edges or sha qi and many other destructive forms. It goes on to say that this is the last desperate move to restore feng shui. How true is this? The tilted door, aka the crooked mouth. A door is tilted or being re-angled to achieve certain feng shui criteria for the purpose of restoring the feng shui of a property. The primary objective is to draw good or auspicious energy for the premise. At the same time, there are many other schools that tilt doors in accordance to their school of thoughts. Thus, one has to understand that not only the San Yuan school does tilted doors, but other schools do as well. The San Her boys do it too. Each and every school angles the doors according to their own theories. I have seen how a Bazi Feng Shui practitioner angles a door to fulfill his own theory. And so you see, tilting doors or angling the doors is no big deal. However, one must be sure of what one is doing because the effects can be catastrophic if done wrongly. Yeah, and that's why I haven't tried to do it. I don't know if I want to mess with people's lives like that. Results, results, results. The chairman of Deng Xiaoping once said the famous phrase that I don't mind if it's a black cat or a white cat, but a cat that catches the mouse is a good cat. He nailed it well when he said that because while the sight of an angled door is not conventional or eye smoothing, most importantly, it gets results. And that really is the premise of good feng shui, in my opinion. You want to get the results. And whichever way you achieve that, I support. Reverend Master Huang Chuang is our third generation Grand Master. He gained his fame of the Hyatt Hotel in 1973 because he gave the Hyatt a crooked mouth formation. But he got results. The Hyatt Hotel's business soared after it had a crooked mouth door for feng shui. And if you go to the Grandmaster's Temple in Singapore, you'll see a signature work of the crooked mouth, in which he attached a photo above. He says, I personally have done many tilted doors and it's yielded good results. My clients will know. Someday I'll share a case of how a crooked mouth saved a family's financial and health issues. Of course, in the West, in the United States or Western cultured countries like Australia, this kind of feng shui solution may not be seen as normal, but it is a good long term solution. Too often, I emphasize that fame equates nothing to the ability in the feng shui field. Most importantly is the solution that creates good feng shui effects, or at least stops to neutralize the bad feng shui effects. And another point I kind of want to make is you kind of have to be careful when you move into a space like that. Another article on this site, which I'll link also, he says here, I was at an apartment after receiving a call from a client. As I reached the apartment, I saw that the door was angled or tilted. I continued with the feng shui consultation and I asked the owner when he engaged the feng shui consultant to audit his house. He told me it was in 2008 and I said to him, I doubt there's much changes after the audit, and he kind of agreed with me. And then I further said, in fact, the problem would have persisted. So, meaning he didn't get the results from tilting the door. So, again, kind of the con. Today it says door tilting seems to be in fashion, mostly being popularized from that Hyatt Hotel incident I talked about. He says somehow the owner wasn't that lucky and ended up pretty bruised financially. And upon checking, it seems that the previous feng shui consultant tilted the wrong door. It's like a surgeon who amputated the wrong leg. And luckily, the owners were very diligent people with a good human action prevented further disaster and contain the problem to the best they can. However, human effort does have a limit to it. And after holding 8 years onto this problem, they grew exhausted from it. So they were just emotionally exhausted. That's another point I want to make too. I think when you start doing feng shui, you start getting deeper into it and looking at systems like flying stars and stuff like that. It might create a little bit of fear in you, right? Or you're like, oh, I found that I have this bad energy or this bad shachi in my home, but I don't feel like it's ever affected me. Well, the human aspect can actually bring a lot of positive energy to you. It said that if you're a good person, you have a good intent, you can overcome a lot of these things unknowingly, right? Talking about my feng shui master again, he told us a story once, and he said something along the lines of there was a feng shui master. And he was very, very thirsty. So he stopped at this widow's house and she gave him a cup of water, but she gave him a cup of hot water. And he was like, why would she give me a cup of hot water? Because it's ridiculous. I can't drink it down. It's gonna cause my thirst to not be quenched. Later on, she had asked him, what would be this good feng shui adjustment, or what can I do, or something along those lines. And he gave her some advice, but he gave her bad advice because he was mad at her for the hot water. Well, years later, he came upon her again, and she was very prosperous and she had some very good luck in life. He was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And I think the story of the hot water came up again. And he asked her, how come you gave me hot water? And she said, well, because you're not supposed to drink water too fast when you're really thirsty. It can upset your stomach. If you hot water so you have a chance to cool and you could sip on it. And he realized that because she did this in the good intention and had his best interest at heart, that the advice he gave her actually turned auspicious. So do with that what you will. But again, I think we put a lot into feng shui, and that's coming from a feng shui consultant, right? But if you're a good person, if you have good intentions, if you're making good decisions, you're not going to get bad results, if that makes sense. So just continue down that path. Just a little aside there. Let's continue on. And from a Q&A I found on geomancy.net, this has some really good articles in there, really good Q&A, and I think they're a little bit older, 2001. I mean, but there is gold in here, guys. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to link that in the show notes too. He talks about some times that when door tilting can be done. He says one consideration sometimes that feng shui practitioners make is the belief that ghosts can travel in a straight line. And by tilting the door, there's a belief that ghosts have a difficult time going through the door. And it again references this Hyatt hotel, which I'm going to cover in just a second. It says here also that one of the main considerations for tilting a door is to face one's good direction. However, some feng shui practitioners do advise tilting the door to kill two birds with one stone and change the door direction, which is felt to be inauspicious to the owner, and let it face a good direction to the owner. And this is for 8 mansions feng shui. Again, it can be used for different styles of feng shui. For a flying star practitioner, he may direct the owner to tilt the door about 15 degrees, which would change the mountain that it's in. And as always, date selection is used to do this. Returning back to fengshuimechanics.com, it's entitled Feng Shui of the Hyatt Singapore, Controversies or Confusion. And this is the story of the Hyatt Hotel in Singapore. As I prepared for the upcoming course in Kuala Lumpur, I came across some case studies that I suddenly thought of the Hyatt Singapore. Many feng shui articles have been written about this famous hotel in Singapore in Scott Orchard Road. Why has this hotel shot to fame in the feng shui domain? It all started by one of the grandmasters who corrected the feng shui of this hotel, and it resulted in business growth after the audit. You can read more about it on the internet. But what prompted me to write about it now is I've seen too many comments about the feng shui of the Hyatt that while today my aim is not to explain the feng shui, I just wanted to make corrections of the vastly mistaken facts and feng shui methods known about our lineage. Many say that it is the Castlegate theory, and it is not true. This method is called door tilting, but not many know how it works. Actually, though, many practitioners try to use it. Some even say it's from the Sandher Five Ghost Carry Treasure method, but this is reportedly not true, as it seems that the master who did this door tilt followed some kind of classical text and it doesn't align with this. Another author said that the original door was facing straight out to the road and the reception desk was looking directly to the road, causing wealth to leak out. He gives some various reasons as to why this isn't true. It says here, then another famous Hong Kong master gave his diagnosis and said that the poor business previous to this feng shui master coming in was caused by a bad water star 8 at the door and the 7-star trapped at the center. And that kind of has to do with when the building is built in the flying star system. I have heard that sometimes you can untrap a star. He says it's not true and they don't really understand the theory in the lineage. Master Chuan had advised by 1984 that the door should be corrected. He says that the guesses go on, even mentioning that Shuang Kong dog was speculation, but it says here, to me, it's more of a coincidence than real application that someone got good results unless he knows the art of door tilting. So I think his point here is just that there is specific techniques. There are certain techniques that are used, and the Hyatt Hotel is just one of the main ones that has the door tilting to it. And really, the only one that'll really know is the feng shui master that tilted the door. There's definitely secrets within this door tilting, especially the feng shui community, and very especially when it goes to feng shui lineage. I notice some of these feng shui practitioners and masters are very, very adamant that nothing gets changed within their school of feng shui. Just kind of something to think about there. Lastly, there is places where door tilting can be seen very prominently. In 2019, I visited the city of San Francisco, which has this rich Chinese heritage, and it is home to one of the oldest, most prominent Chinatowns in the US. I noticed a very prominent amount of door tilting. And of course, it's very intentional. The technique is not an accident, but deliberate feng shui adjustments influenced by this traditional Chinese principle. So if you're around the San Francisco area, take a look at the doors next time you're in Chinatown. The use of tilted doors in business and homes is deeply rooted in the city's Chinese community, where feng shui has historically just been integrated into daily life. And I've seen other examples of this too. I've seen examples of BTB feng shui where we went to, I can't remember the restaurant, but it had a big mirror. And I noticed that the mirror in BTB feng shui can be used to push out a wall if the wall's angled or if the wall goes inward, if that makes sense. So this wall was inward. And I noticed a big mirror on it. And I thought, I know that's a BTB feng shui cure. So I think that's interesting where you can see it in not just the architecture where the doors are tilted, but also in the design and decor. If you see a tilted doorway in a city like San Francisco with this heavy Asian influence, it is clear that feng shui principles are intentionally applied here. And tilting this door can help you negate challenging energy created by the topography of the area, while aligning the entrance to tap into lucky elements like nearby water or even your favorable directional influence. It's a subtle but powerful way to harmonize with the environment, especially in a city that's shaped by nature and culture like San Francisco. It just makes sense. All right, guys. Well, I hope today's episode gave you some insight into how and why door tilting is used. I'd like to again invite you to that International Feng Shui Guild Summit on May 3rd. Link will be in the show notes. I'll be speaking at 1 p.m. And, it is a 2-day long summit with 2 Zoom rooms going. It's going to be amazing. You'll also hear voices like Tara Catherine Collins, Amanda Sophia, Karen Rosh Carter, my friend Lisa Albin. This actually ties in perfectly with kind of what I'll be covering because feng shui really does have the power to unite us. So whether we follow Eastern or Western traditions, it's really about finding that common ground through that shared intention and really just wanting harmony in our environment. All right, guys, I won't catch you next week. I usually take the last week of the month off. I won't have a podcast on May 2nd because I'll be doing that talk on the 3rd, and I've got some polishing up to do on my talk. So, all right, I hope to catch you guys at that summit. If not, I'll catch you guys on May 9th for May Energy Update. All right, see you guys then.
For a free energy mapping of your floor plan, please check the link in the show notes. To support today's podcast, go to learnfengshui.com, sign up for emails, leave a review, and share with your family and friends.